So, for instance, I think conservatives today in the United States are largely characterized with, I would say, with populism, and that they're supporting like certain figures, namely right now Donald Trump, who they think alone can kind of like lead them against the corrupt institutions, be them corporate or government. I feel like most conservatives today are not as trustful of big corporations as they were back in like the Bush era, where we would, conservatives would champion, big corporations.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Really carries over to basically to all media, I would imagine, is you've got people that will watch you for special events. So maybe you're like a commentator of the Super Bowl, or maybe you're hosting like a really huge event. Then you've got people who will watch you every time you're participating in your area of expertise. So for me, that's like a particular game I might be playing. It might be when you're on like a particular show or something that people watch you for. And then the fundamental fan, like the best fan that you're converting to the lowest and most loyal viewer, I guess, is somebody that's watching you basically no matter what you're doing. And these are the people that'll follow you from area to area. Right. And I think because of the way I did gaming and I talked about a lot of other stuff, whether it was politics, science, current events, whatever, I had a lot of loyal fans that kind of followed me wherever I went. So quite a few of them stuck in Star Trek.
So you established a reputation.
Yeah.
So how would you characterize your reach now? How would you quantify it?
I think can you be more precise?
How many people are watching a typical video that you might produce, and what are you doing for subscribers, say on YouTube, and total? Any idea about total reach?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess my subscribers on YouTube, I have around, I think that's around 770,000 on my main channel. I think I probably do between all three channels, I think around 15 to 20 million views a month. And then I live stream to anywhere from 5 to 15,000 concurrent viewers a day for hopefully around 8 hours a day. Yeah.
Okay. So you have quite a substantial reach. And so you said that initially you were more conservative leaning, but that changed. What did it mean that you were more conservative leaning, and how and why did that change?
When I said I was conservative leaning, I mean, I was writing articles for my school newspaper defending George Bush and the Iraq War. I was like very much like, I think it's like an insult now when people say like neocon, but I was like very much like a conservative, a Bush era conservative. So supported big business, supported traditional, all of the conservative, I guess, like foreign policy, hawkish foreign policy, for whatever that meant as like a 14, 15-year-old.
Right.
There was the whole Elian Gonzalez incident that was very big for Cuban Americans, where there was a Cuban boy that tried to come to the United States with several other people and his mother, and their raft, I guess, crashed or something happened. I think his mom died and some other people died, and there was a huge debate on whether or not to send him back to Cuba, and Clinton ended up sending him back to Cuba. And I know that my mom was super irritated and all that, to say the least. And then once I hit college, I think I supported Ron Paul in 2008. So I was a big Ron Paul libertarian guy in high school. When I went to a Catholic Jesuit high school, and I kind of became atheist in that process. I started reading Ayn Rand. So I was very, 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 very conservative.
But on the libertarian end, it sounds
I would say so. Yeah. Initially on the
that makes more sense in relationship to your temperament.
Sure, maybe. Yeah. Initially it was like Christian conservative, and then it became.
Now, I think what's key about the rundown Destiny gave right there, he was showing how he used to be a conservative, but I think being conservative is not just about being a Trump supporter or being, in his case, a Bush supporter. Like, just being conservative goes beyond just supporting a president or a certain politician, right? I think being conservative goes down to the beliefs, your belief system, right? You have to stand more for beyond just a politician representing a certain party, right? This has to go down to the belief system. So for him to run down how he was used to be a conservative because he used to support Republican politicians, for me, I don't believe he was that conservative, right? So I don't agree. Maybe you guys agree, but for me, just that small rundown on how he used to be a conservative, you're not conservative just because you support Republican or conservative party politicians. That's a very small aspect of being conservative if we're really going down to the core of things, to the foundation of really being conservative. Or the same thing, like if somebody is a Democrat or a leftist and then they say they're leftist because they support Obama or they support Biden, I don't think that's a good enough reason to call yourself a leftist. There's gotta be more, but maybe he's gonna go deeper. So let's listen.
I'm like libertarian conservative. Without my life kind of took like a wacky path, and then as I started working, I kind of had to drop out of school. I was working, and then I got into streaming. And once I started streaming, I had a son. Basically, around the first year I started streaming. As I started to go through life, and I went from kind of being in this like working poor position to making a lot of money, especially through the lens of my child, I saw how different life was when I had more money versus less. And I guess like the differences between what was available to me and then my child as I made more money while I was really wealthy versus not as wealthy, it kind of started to change the way that I guess.
So you got more attuned to the consequences of inequality?
Basically, I would say, yeah.
Okay, and so how did that lead you to develop more sympathy for left-leaning ideas, particularly?
I guess my core beliefs have never really changed, but I think the way that those become applied kind of change. So much the same way that you might think that everybody deserves a shot to go to school and have an education. That might be like a core belief where as a libertarian or conservative, I might think that as long as a school is available, everybody's got the opportunity to go and study. But maybe now as like a liberal or progressive or whatever you'd call me, I might say, okay, well, we need to make sure that there's enough, maybe like food in the household or some kind of funding program to make sure the kid can actually go to school and study, basically. So like the core drive.
But oh, Destiny. So, and I'm glad Jordan Peterson was asking him these very thought-provoking questions, because I've watched Destiny debate so many times, but I do not think anyone has taken the time to ask him where his leftist beliefs come from, or his beliefs for that matter. Because for me, the whole thing of leftist and conservative or right and left, I don't really care about the labels. I care about what you believe, right? So let me just talk about the whole thing of he believes everyone should go to school. It's an example of his core beliefs, right? After he made money, he realized that when he was broke, he had nothing. Now he's rich, he has everything, and some people don't. So he believes those who don't should have everything. But what if, okay, you create all these opportunities as a rich man, and you encourage the other people who have nothing to work hard so they can get like you, but they don't want to. So it's one thing to create opportunities, encourage, and maybe even give opportunities to train people to take those opportunities to become better. But what if they don't want to? So for him to claim that the left, because this is how I'm summing up the whole thing. So he's kind of claiming that the left wants everyone to progress in life or be successful. In this example, go to school, but the right just creates the school and that's it, which I don't believe. That's the example he used, but there's no way the conservatives build schools and that's it. So who's gonna go to the schools, right? They're building the schools for somebody. So it's up to the person to actually want to go to school, know the use of school, and then take the initiative to go to school, right? So for him claiming the left is more about they create the schools and they encourage people, then they put programs in place to encourage those. You can't, everyone won't be on the program. It doesn't matter how many times you want to push somebody. If they don't want to do something, they don't want to do it. You don't then blame the people who are creating the opportunities. That's how I'm taking it. You guys are probably different. Comment down below. Let's argue about it.
Is the same, but I think the applied principle ends up changing a bit based on what you
right.
think.
So is your concern essentially something like the observation that if people are bereft enough of substance, let's say, that it's difficult for them to take advantage of equal opportunities, even if they are presented to them, let's say?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
And you have some belief, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have some belief that there is room for state intervention at the level of basic provision to make those opportunities more manifest.
Yeah, to varying degrees, yeah.
Okay. How? Okay, so let's start talking more broadly then on the political side. So, how would you characterize the difference, in your opinion, between the left and the conservative political viewpoints?
On a very, very, very broad level, if there's some, I would say if there's some like good world that we're all aiming for, I think people on the left seem to think that a collection of taxes from a large population that goes into a government that's able to precisely kind of dole out where that tax money goes. You're basically able to take the problems of society. You're able to scrape off, hopefully, not super significant amount of money from people that can afford to give a lot of money, and then through government programs and redistribution, you target those taxes essentially to people that kind of need whatever bare minimum to take advantage of opportunities in society. Yeah.
Okay.
And then on the conservative end, I guess a conservative would generally think that, why would the government take my money? I think from a community point of view, through churches, through community action, through families, we can better allocate our own dollars to our own friends and family to help them and give them the things that they need so that they can better participate in and thrive in society, basically.
Okay, so one of the things that I've always found a mystery, I mean, I think there's an equal mystery on the left and on the right in this regard, is that the more conservative types tend to be very skeptical of big government, and the leftist types tend to be more skeptical of big corporations. Right? Well, following through the logic that you just laid out, you made the suggestion that one of the things that characterizes people on the left is the belief that government can act as an agent of can and should act as an agent of distribution. Okay, a potential problem for that.
I don't know about you guys, but bro, I feel like my taxes are too high. I'm very sorry, but I feel like, let's say I make $1,000 a week, and then I get my paycheck and it's only $700. Man, that's a lot. I know, guys. It's a lot for me. So if you're gonna call me conservative for that part, I'm all for being conservative, because I feel like the taxes are too high, just for me, right? Now, obviously, they say taxes only favor the people with businesses. So if you have a business, you can do tax write-offs and stuff like that. So what Destiny described as left and right, where the left encourage more taxes on the rich, and the right encourage less taxes, and that way they can distribute the money how they feel. For me, how I feel about that, it should be, sure, if you're going to tax people more, you're going to have to do more for them. In other words, it's got to be tangible. It shouldn't be we're just taxing the rich and then we're just giving the same kind of services. They got to see something. I'm not even rich, but I'm just saying, like, it's not all about taxing the rich more. Let's put things in place that, hey, listen, we're going to do A, B, C, D. That's really the reason we're going to tax the rich more. But I think we shouldn't just target just the rich when it comes to taxes, because taxes are for everybody, for the whole community, to improve the whole society, or a certain country, or a state for that matter, right? So I don't think the whole target the rich to cater for the guys who don't have, or who don't make enough, guys like me, right? And then that's gonna kind of, you know what, matter of fact, guys, for me, rather than taxing the rich to help the poor, I'd rather they give me a raise. How about that? Rather than taxing my boss more money because he makes millions of dollars, and you tax him more, which is actually gonna cause him to either fire me or give me less hours, I'd rather you don't tax him. Matter of fact, if you want, give him a tax break, and at least he'll be more incentivized to give me a raise. How about that? Keep taxes the same, give him a tax break, let him give me a raise. I would rather go with that option. What do you guys think?
It is the gigantism of the government that does that. Now, the conservatives are skeptical of that gigantism. And likewise, the liberals, the progressives in particular, we'll call them progressives, are skeptical of the reach of gigantic corporations. And I've always seen a commonality in those two, in that both of them are skeptical of gigantism. And so one of the things that I'm concerned about, generally speaking, with regard to the potential for the rise of tyranny is the emergence of giants. And one potential problem with the view that the government can and should act as an agent of redistribution is that there is an incentive put in place, two kinds of incentives. Number one, a major league incentive towards gigantism and tyranny. And number two, an incentive for psychopaths who use compassion to justify their grip on power, to take money and to claim that they're doing good. And I see that happening everywhere now, particularly in the name of compassion. And it's one of the things that's made me very skeptical, in particular about the left, and at least about the progressive edge of the left.